Hi, Jim. It's David and Cheryl. And boy, where do we start with the memories that we have together? Back in Kissimmee, when you first came with Marie to be our minister of music, and we sang in the choir, and then we had our kids there, and it was just wonderful. I remember you babysat for Brian one time when he was a baby, and he pulled all the Kleenex right out of the Kleenex box and had them all over. And we did lots of things together at the church. I remember the story about you taking the youth choir on the first choir tour to New Orleans, and them going to Brennan's and Jeff Ford talking about them setting the bananas on fire. On fire. And so we had just a wonderful time there. And then when you moved up to Champaign, we came and saw you so many times. The first performance of Ghostbusters we went to see together in the movies.
Oh, that's right.
That's right. And we had a great time there. And first your little house on Chevy Chase, and then over to Theodore. And we sang in the choir the day you retired, and it was just a wonderful time. So anyway, the memories are endless. We love you so much, and we'll wish you the best. We love you.
Love you, Jim.
Bye-bye.
Love you, Mr. Till.
Also, JC.
Personal.
Hello, Mr. Till. Show the grandkids. These
Here's-
are grandkids, Jim.
Here's Whitney's daughter, Whitney's 2 daughters, and Whitney's sons. 2 of her 3 sons. So, and you remember,
Maggie's son is maybe in bed.
yeah.
We don't know for sure.
And here's a good shot of Whitney because she's kind of blurred out by the by the light. There you go. And our pianist, our accompanist, and Pammy Schneider,
Hello, hello.
Pendleton, and Maggie Weber Gerke.
Oh, you remember me because I gave you a lot of trouble.
No, me, Liza Weber. Love you, Mr. Till. Love you.
Howdy, Jimmy. It's your oldest brother, Sonny. We are 2 of 6 kids that grew up in the same house at different periods of time. I wish we could go back to the fish fries that Daddy put on with fish from Big Creek or Kincaid Lake or Walker's Lake. I miss the family dinners where you could never tell what Mother would make into a dish. I wish we could hear her play the piano one more time. She could grace those pedals under the piano like no other. Even though our 15-year-old age gap and life have kept us from truly being in the same place at the same time for long, I've kept up with your life, and I'm proud of you. I love you, Reverend Jimmy Till, my youngest brother. Son.
Hi, Jim. It's Sammy. Just wanted to stop by and say hi, and I hope that you're doing the best that you can. I absolutely missing you and Marie at the Wine and Dine socials. I miss the Wine and Dine socials in general, but that's where I first met you and Marie, and you immediately became one of my favorite couples. It was good to see that you celebrated your birthday at the Rose Bowl. You looked very happy. You had family and friends surrounding you, and I love to see that. I'm sorry that I didn't come by, but as long as the family and friends share pictures, I, in spirit, was there to celebrate with you. I am very thankful for our friendship, although we didn't know each other really long, but any friendship, short or long, is very valuable to me, and you and Marie are amazing. I love you guys, and I love our friendship. So, again, the best of luck to you, and thankful for every day that you are here. Take care of yourself, Jim and Marie. Hello, and Leslie and Matt. Hi, and Addie. Take care. Love you guys.
Hello, Jim. This is Nina Meyer sending pictures from Eisenstadt of Schloss Esterhazy and the surrounding park, the place where Joseph Haydn used to work. I will always associate your name with classical music, the interest you had in Joseph Haydn and what you knew about him. And I will also always be grateful for the time I got to spend at your family's house. I will always appreciate getting to know you, Marie, Leslie and Audrey, and I cannot wait to see Leslie again this summer. All the best to you, to the entire Till family. Bye.
Hi, it's Mark and Jan Briggs from down on Theodore Drive.
We've been your neighbors for 25 years, and we spent a lot of time with the kids going to band activities and halftime shows, and you even took the kids to school or provided the wheels for them. We appreciate that you included us in your church band and encouraged our limited and rusty abilities.
Very limited, very rusty.
That was such a treat to play in band with our kids. Thank you. I've always enjoyed the backyard get-togethers with good wine and good food, and always good stories about Pollock and Kissimmee and seminary. Thanks for sharing.
And Mama Till.
Thanks for sharing your stories. But I'm so thankful that our families got to grow up alongside each other all these years. We cherish all those memories.
So this is from the whole Briggs family.
Best wishes. We'll be thinking of you guys. Love ya.
Hi, Jim. This is Georgette, your good friend. And Harry and I have had so much fun over the years with drinking wine with you and watching your concerts at church. And wish you the best in the future.
Hi, Jim. This is Debbie Gerber, now Holsgrafe. I was in choir with you in the 80s, I guess it was, 1980s. And I was, I believe, one of the first groups that you had at First United Methodist Church in Champaign. I just remember you teaching us different things, and one of the things being when we say the word Gloria in a song or sing the word Gloria, that if you put a K on the front, it actually comes out a lot clearer than just trying to sing Gloria. So that's always just stuck with me, and I always attribute that to you. So hopefully that's true and not something I just made up. But just really appreciate all your guidance during the, time of middle school and high school, when it kind of can be hard to be a kid. And just you were so generous with your time and taking us to Florida. I can't imagine that was very fun for you at times, but just loved the experiences of going to Winter Park. Some of my favorite memories during that time period were from going down to Florida with you and the choir. So thank you for all you've done for me, for my family. I know my mom loved working with you at the church, and just really appreciate all that you've done for us, yourself and your family. So all the best wishes for you, love and prayers go out to all of you. Thank you.
Hi, Jim. This is Jenny Drenovich Zada, and I'm here recording a message for you. I first met you and Marie back in, about 2003 or so, from the Corkscrew and Sarah's Winos, and we were there. The first thing about us, you and I share a birthday, April 15th. Yay! The second most favorite memory I have of you and Marie is when Albert and I got married in 2005. We took our honeymoon out to Sonoma, California, and you and Marie and your daughters happened to be going out there at the exact same time. And we're like, let's get together. And you're like, no, you're on your honeymoon. We don't want to bother you. So one morning, we both drove to the Meeker Winery. I pulled up at 9 a.m. and I looked up in my rearview mirror, and you and your family pulled up right behind us. Totally unprompted. We had the best time that day. We went to so many different wineries, and we had such a great time. That was one of my favorite memories of you. So cheers to you all. Love you. Hope you're doing well. Bye.
Hi, Jim. I hope you enjoy a walk down memory lane with Jevra Denham. Our friendship began, I think, probably about 47 years ago when we all gathered with Reverend Bob Fox to join the United Methodist Church in Kissimmee. You and Marie and Donna and I were the only ones who were very young at that point. And yeah, we were just little sprouts on the tree of life. That was our Sunday school class. After 47 years, I think we've now become the big giant trunks to that tree, sort of moving toward being the buried roots, I think. We enjoyed our God-Man and Archie Bunker. We had a lot of fun those nights in the Perch, putting together the rummage sale for the country fair. Boy, that was a lot of work. No way we could do any of that kind of stuff now. And who would have thought those people wanted any of that junk that came in? I mean, all the good things that people were donating to the country fair. And the ladies that would come in before 8 o'clock and try to buy stuff off the playground area. Oh my, those were the days, weren't they? And then you taught me to play handbells. Yeah, 17 years later, I still played when we moved to Brentwood in Nashville, Tennessee. But no, I don't want to be that accurate on anything anymore. After all, you taught me that when you make a mistake, to just not make it show on your face. I still live by those words, so I keep going on with this video. Oh yeah, and then there was the first choir tour. Remember that one? We went to Nashville, Tennessee. Who would have thought Donna and I would actually move to Nashville later on? Oh, I remember the night doing Light Shine. That was our show. The last performance when the show was on, but the mime didn't make it. I remember running upstairs and saying, "You're on, you're on!" And the panicked look on everybody's face when our mime didn't show. But finally, we went on, we carried on, and that night went to the Roach Motel. Yeah, much nicer days in Junaluska that week. I remember when Don and I and you and Marie would go out in the evenings for weekend date nights, and we'd try eating jalapeno peppers. Oh, yeah, that was back when they were kind of new to the area. Yeah, can't take those anymore either. Upset our stomachs. Oh, yeah, we're getting old. But I remember the parties, not just the ones for 4th of July at John and Janice Holmes' house, nor the Christmas parties at our house, but the Christmas party that you put on for the chancel choir when Don and I came to be your maiden butler. Oh, yes, those were fun times. Those were all fun times, Jim. I miss you, miss being with you. But the bonds of friendship that we made in those years have continued on and will continue forever. Love you, Jim. Bye.
It was September of 1973. I went to Dallas to attend seminary and moved into Perkins Dormitory, and one of the first persons I met was Jim Till. Jim was trying to pull some fast ones over us. He was telling us that my roommate Michael Ankoff was a person who rode Harleys and had parked his Harley in the room. Now, I'm not really remember whether he was telling Michael Ankoff that I was the one that rode the Harley, or if he was telling me that Michael. But anyway, that's the way our relationship started off, with Jim telling these big tales about trying to get some humor going right off the bat. We did lots of things together while we were at SMU, and just a few of the things I remember. One was the fact that Jim and I like to go out to the mall, and particularly I think we used pennies, and Jim would go into the men's department and take a blazer off the rack and would put it on, and would go stand out in the hall in the aisle, and as people came by, he would stand there as if he was a mannequin, and if they paid any attention to it at all, then he would move and jump, and they would scare him, and then he'd set up for the next person. But the second thing we liked to do was Jim and I would set up as if we were sales clerks, and particularly in the men's department, we would be there trying to sell people shirts or pants or suits or whatever. And generally we kind of told them if they would buy this particular one that would be on sale, they'd have a special sale going on or something, and we get a whole bundle of stuff up ready for them to buy, and we go sit on the counter, and then we'd disappear because we couldn't sell it to them, and we didn't really necessarily want them to know that we're the ones who led them astray on some of that. But that was one of the little fun things we did. I also remember that one night we decided that we wanted to learn to make margaritas. And so Jimmy and I went to the liquor store and asked them what the formula for making a margarita was. They sold us a bottle of tequila, a bottle of triple sec, and I don't remember, some lime juice. I don't remember what it goes with. Of course, we had to buy chips and salsa to go with our margaritas. And we went back. Somebody in the dorm actually had a blender. And so we started blending up margaritas as the best we could. After all, we weren't really professional bartenders at this point. And the first batch turned out awful. And the second batch wasn't much better. After the third or fourth batch, who cared what they tasted like? I mean, we were pretty well soused on margaritas. Except for me, I spent the most of the rest of the night in the bathroom trying to get rid of my margaritas that I had been drinking. So we had fun with that as well. Then somewhere along that line, Jim met Marie, and then all his time was spent, getting to know Marie and developing that relationship, and it kind of took him away from some of the things that we did. But another thing I want to remember was that when we first got to seminary, we were told, Jimmy probably the one who told us, that there was a group of devil worshippers who were out at one of the places, business commerce areas, that came late at night and did their devil worshiping, and it seemed like a challenging idea to go out and see about these devil worshippers. So we went out, and whoever was leading us astray, probably Jimmy, had us back and hiding behind some benches and things, and then we moved a little closer and a little closer until finally we got close enough to realize there weren't any devil worshippers out there. There was just statues that were all around a fountain, and it was just a big hoax that somebody had played on us. So we had quite a bit of time there at SMU, and then unfortunately Jim graduated one whole year before I did, and went to New Orleans and got a job, and then started trying to recruit me to come work with him. We thought we would have so much fun if the two of us were doing worship and music together. So Jim's away and I'm finishing my last year, and sure enough, when it comes time, I decided to follow Jim to New Orleans. Now, that's the first of the videos. So the next one I'll talk about our time in New Orleans. So it was in 1975, the summer of 1975, that I graduated from Perkins, and Jim had been recruiting me to go to New Orleans, and so I decided to go down for a visit. Wouldn't hurt to check it out. And of course, first of all, we had to go to visit his parents, and I will never forget, we went fishing, and we didn't catch any fish, but we used our fishing rods to beat the snakes that were trying to crawl into the water moccasins that were trying to crawl into the boat with us. And Jim finally got the motor started and took us back home. And when we got there, his dad had been out shooting squirrels and brought them home, and his mom made squirrel stew. And I'll say it was the first time I'd ever had squirrel stew. And I'm proudly to say to this day, it was the last time I ever had squirrel stew. But I went on and arrived in New Orleans, took the job, was able to transfer my membership from the Northwest Texas Conference to the Louisiana Conference. So got there, and Jim and I and Marie were having a big time. We had another couple that we met. One was Jim and Lynette DeLong. And so the five of us were always going around doing things together. And one of the things was the choir. The choir was, of course, Jim's expertise, and had a really large choir and some really nice people in the choir. And I ended up going a lot of times on Thursday night to be there when the choir came. And it wasn't just to be a part of the choir, but the choir parties that they had about once a month. And there was a little bit of alcohol that was spread around those choir parties to make them even more lively than they would have been if there wasn't the alcohol that showed up at the parties. But I also remember that Jim and Marie had a cat by the name of Boogie. And Boogie was a young cat, and Jimmy and I had fun, mostly me probably, spinning the cat around until he got drunk, and then watch him kind of wander all over the place. We also did use Boogie to play catch with on occasion, much to Marie's disdain, but we did have a lot of fun with Boogie, and then Jim also had this little red VW Bug, and we went everywhere in that little Bug. But I'll never forget this one day. We were out close to the lake, and all of a sudden a water spout came up off the lake and was headed right towards us. And Jim threw that little Bug and backed it up and ran it up into somebody's driveway so that water spout could pass by and not hit us. It's just one of those old things that sticks in my memory. And it was in that time frame while we were there that on one of those Thursday nights that I met Pam. And Pam was keeping the nursery, and it gave me more incentive to go on Thursday night choir practice so that I could also spend some time with Pam. And eventually, well, actually pretty quickly, it became pretty clear to me that Pam was the one I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. And so who would be best man at our wedding? Jimmy would be best man at our wedding, and Jim DeLong would be who sang at our wedding. And it was a fun one, great occasion. And what I remember though is that after the wedding, all of a sudden Jim and Marie and Jim and Lynette just disappeared. Had no idea where they went. They weren't there to say goodbye. And so we finally got in the car amongst all the rice and all the writings on the car about us being just married. And we drive to Baton Rouge, where I reserved a room in the honeymoon suite for that night of our wedding. And when we got to the hotel, who was waiting for us in the lobby of the hotel other than Jim and Marie and Jim and Lynette? They had found out somehow where we were going to go. I hadn't told anybody, I didn't think. And they showed up. Luckily, they had a bottle of champagne, which made our honeymoon night even better than the bottle of champagne that was in the hotel. Well, I won't talk about some of the other things that took place in New Orleans, but eventually Jim and Marie would move to Kissimmee and then go up to Champaign, where where Marie's family was, and would stay the rest of his ministry in the wonderful church there in Champaign, Illinois. And we kind of lost touch for a while. Maybe some postcards or some Christmas cards were sent back and forth. But eventually, though, we got back in touch. And Jim and Marie have traveled down to Florida, and the last few years we've been traveling up to Champaign. And what it strikes me is that we were such close friends when we were in New Orleans, when we were in seminary, and when we were in New Orleans. And Jim and Marie were just like some of our best friends. And what happens with best friends, it doesn't matter how much time separates you. You're friends through thick and thin, and friends for life. So thank you, Jim and Marie, for being my best friend in seminary and through life.